Okay, turn around.
All the way?
All the way, 360, my dear. If I'm going to give my unbiased opinion, I have to make sure it's accurate.
I just want to look cool, that's all, just cool.
General Hospital was dying in 1979. Then they aired one scene that split America in half. The producers defended it with two words that made headlines nationwide. Critics called it disgusting. Women's groups organized protests. Major sponsors threatened to pull millions in advertising. The network faced a choice: apologize or double down. They chose something nobody expected. That controversial storyline became the most watched moment in soap opera history. The wedding that followed broke every television record. But the dark secret behind it haunts the show today. It all started on April 1st, 1963, when General Hospital aired its very first episode on ABC. Back then, no one knew this black-and-white medical drama, set on a nameless city's 7th floor, would shape daytime TV forever. Created by husband and wife writers Frank and Doris Hersley, it was meant to be a modest show, replacing a canceled game show. The set was simple, the focus was tight, but it was different. Nurse Jessie Brewer, played by Emily McLaughlin, opened the episode with the calm yet unforgettable line, "7th floor, nurse's station." Alongside her stood John Berardino as Dr. Steve Hardy. From the start, the show tried something bold, real medical drama, layered with personal struggles, at a time when most soaps were still wrapped in drawing room drama. The city wouldn't even get a name until the late 1970s, when it finally became known as Port Charles. Then, in February 1964, Rachel Ames joined the cast as Audrey March, a flight attendant turned nurse who was supposed to die after 13 weeks. But viewers didn't want to let her go. She stayed. Her character married Dr. Steve Hardy. Her real-life father, Byron Fulger, even appeared in their on-screen wedding as the priest. Over the decades, Audrey March Hardy became more than a character. She became the heart of the show. Rachel Ames played her for over 50 years, earning Daytime Emmy nominations in 1974, 1975, and 1979. Her quiet strength and loyalty gave the series a foundation that never cracked, no matter how wild the plots became. Originally just 30 minutes long, General Hospital expanded to 45 minutes on July 26, 1976. That was a test. Then, on January 16, 1978, it became a full hour. It wasn't just more airtime, it was a lifeline. Ratings were sliding and ABC wasn't bluffing. They gave the producers one final chance to fix things or face cancellation. That extra time allowed the writers to go deeper, take more risks, and stretch out storylines that once felt rushed. The expansion didn't just save the show, it set the stage for one of the biggest comebacks in television history. By 1972, General Hospital had hit #1 in the ratings, but it didn't last. As the mid-70s arrived, audiences drifted. The pace slowed, plots got stale, and NBC's The Doctors began to steal the spotlight. Even Time magazine took a jab at it in 1976, calling its malpractice stories dull and singling out only Denise Alexander's Dr. Leslie Williams as worth watching. ABC started to lose patience. By 1978, they were ready to pull the plug. Then came Gloria Monty. ABC handed her the reins with a brutal demand: make it work or it's over. Some sources say she was given 13 weeks. Others claim just 2. Either way, the clock was ticking. She fired writers, brightened the sets, and moved the camera like no one had before in daytime TV. She brought in new energy, younger characters, and most of all, speed. One of her boldest moves was casting Anthony Geary as Luke Spencer, a decision that would change everything. Monty didn't just tinker, she flipped the table. Out went the long, slow scenes in living rooms. In came stunts, fast cuts, cliffhangers, romance, and danger. And at the center of it all, she placed Luke and Laura. Their relationship was a gamble. It began with an assault on October 5, 1979, during a mob storyline at a disco. Luke forced himself on Laura. The show aired it. Laura screamed, "No!" But the producers called it a rape seduction. That phrase stuck. Monty herself used it. Critics were furious. Feminist groups pushed back. Even Jeannie Francis, who played Laura, later said the scene made her deeply uncomfortable and called it something she had to carry for decades. Still, the ratings shot up. Viewers were hooked. The controversy didn't sink the show. It saved it. From 1979 to 1988, General Hospital was unstoppable. It crushed every competitor. Daily viewership climbed to 8 to 10 million, with spikes of 30 million for big events. The wedding of Luke and Laura in 1981 became the most watched episode in soap opera history. That single broadcast drew 30 million viewers. Advertisers couldn't get enough. ABC's daytime block exploded. And behind it all was Monty's vision. Fast, bold, emotional. The legacy of Luke and Laura became its own beast. Their 1979 assault scene never went away. For nearly 20 years, it was swept under the rug or rebranded as a seduction. But in November 1998, the show finally revisited it. Their son, Lucky, discovered the truth. Laura faced Luke, and for the first time, the writers called it what it was: rape. The moment was raw, painful, and long overdue. It marked a shift, showing that even daytime soaps could grow, reckon with their past, and speak with a new voice. Through all this, Anthony Geary and Jeannie Francis stayed the emotional anchor. Their chemistry was so strong that Geary once said it felt more intimate than sex. That trust, that fire, carried their story even when the scripts were controversial. It made Luke and Laura more than just a couple. It made them legends. It began in April 1981 when a strange new story hit General Hospital. It wasn't a typical day in Port Charles. Snow started falling in the middle of spring. Viewers watched in disbelief as the town froze over under broad daylight. This wasn't a weather glitch or a dream sequence. It was the start of something that would change daytime television forever. At the center of it all was a massive uncut diamond known as the Ice Princess. But this wasn't just about its value. The Ice Princess held a deadly secret, one that could freeze the world. Inside the diamond was a formula for carbonic snow, a man-made substance with the power to alter the planet's climate. And the man trying to unlock it was Mikos Kassadine. Mikos wasn't just rich, he was obsessed with power, obsessed with control, obsessed with revenge. Played by John Colicos, Mikos had built a machine designed to freeze entire regions, starting with Port Charles. He planned to plunge the world into eternal winter, and he had the Ice Princess as his weapon. His secret lair sat on a private island in Venezuela, filled with guards, traps, and high-tech labs. It felt more like a James Bond film than a hospital soap. That was the whole point. Producer Gloria Monty had already started shaking things up behind the scenes, but this story went beyond anything viewers had seen. It turned General Hospital from a quiet medical drama into a global thriller. By the time summer rolled around, the whole country was watching. The ratings exploded, and 3 unexpected heroes rose to the top: Luke Spencer, Laura Weber, and Robert Scorpio. Luke, played by Anthony Geary, wasn't a doctor. He was a street-smart survivor. Laura, played by Jeannie Francis, had already become a fan favorite. And Robert Scorpio, played by Tristan Rogers, added a new spark with his charm and spy-like instincts. Together, they set out to stop Mikos and destroy his weather machine. The action reached its peak in September 1981. The trio landed on Mykos' island and faced off against his army of guards and loyalists. There were betrayals. There were near deaths. There were moments when it seemed like Port Charles wouldn't survive. But in the end, Luke made it into the control room. With just seconds left, he shut down the machine. The freezing stopped. The world was saved. And Mykos was gone. The victory didn't come without loss. During the final chaos, Tony Cassadine and Alexandria Quatermain were accidentally trapped inside the freezing chamber. Tony, Mykos' brother, and Alexandria, a fan favorite, were engaged to be married. But they never made it out. They froze to death in one of the most haunting scenes the show had ever aired. Their deaths came in September 1981 and stunned viewers. It reminded everyone that even in a soap, the stakes could be real. And it proved that the Ice Princess story wasn't just about thrills. It had weight, it had tragedy, and it had impact. The Diamond's journey wasn't straightforward. In a strange twist, a woman named Emma Lutz unknowingly ended up with the Ice Princess. She didn't see its value, thought it was just ugly. So she gave it to Lila Quatermain for an art auction in Port Charles. That small act triggered a chain reaction. By July 1981, the auction became a war zone. The Quatermains, Cassadines, Spencers, and even the World Security Bureau scrambled to reclaim the stone. And suddenly, Emma Lutz, an ordinary woman, had unknowingly kicked off a global crisis. But the story didn't stop there. The Ice Princess saga gave birth to something even bigger. It created a moment in television history that has never been topped. On November 16th and 17th, 1981, the country paused. Luke and Laura got married. The wedding aired over 2 days and drew 30 million viewers. That wasn't just good for daytime TV, that was a record. No soap opera had ever come close, and no soap has matched it since. This wasn't just a wedding, it was an event. It happened on the grounds of the mayor's mansion in Port Charles. Every character in town showed up. It felt real. Families gathered around the TV. College students skipped class. Bars set up TVs. Offices paused work. Dorm rooms held parties. Some schools even let out early so students could watch. In New York City, there was a real wedding reception with actual invitations, music, and champagne. Fans showed up dressed like guests. It blurred the line between fiction and reality. Even celebrities couldn't stay away. Elizabeth Taylor, a longtime fan of the show, made a surprise cameo. She played Helena Cassadine, Mykos' widow, who showed up at the wedding just to curse the couple. Wearing a dramatic turban and speaking with venom, she blamed Luke for her husband's death. Taylor had requested the role herself. She didn't want payment. She just wanted to be part of this moment. And her short appearance made headlines. It gave the wedding an extra level of drama. It turned an already iconic moment into television legend. The mania didn't stop at the screen. Luke and Laura landed on the cover of People magazine with Elizabeth Taylor. It wasn't common for soap stars to make the cover, but this wasn't a normal time. Anthony Geary and Jeannie Francis were getting 9 bags of fan mail every week. People followed them on the streets. Bars played songs inspired by the episode. One song, General Hospital, even cracked the top 40 charts. Their fame became too big to manage. Jeannie Francis later asked to not share scenes with Geary, just to get a break from the public pressure. Then came something no one expected. A bottle of champagne arrived from across the ocean. Princess Diana had just married Prince Charles that July. She was the bride of the year. But she took time to send a gift to Geary and Francis, congratulating them on their fictional wedding. Her note was kind and playful, saying that even though her own wedding was called the wedding of the century, Luke and Laura's wasn't far behind. It was surreal. The Princess of Wales watching a soap opera from America. But it happened, and it made the line between celebrity and television even thinner. In 1993, daytime television did something it had never dared before. On General Hospital, a quiet shift began when a young character named Stone Cates arrived on screen. He was just another troubled teen at first, but within a year, something changed. He met Robin Scorpio. She had been on the show for years, but now she was growing up, falling in love, and walking into a storyline that would make history. It wasn't loud at first, just soft conversations, nervous touches, and then that quiet, tragic decision. They stopped using protection. They thought they were in love. They thought they were safe. They were wrong. Robin had known Stone as kind, steady, and full of heart. She believed in him. He had no idea he carried HIV. He had taken a test, and it came back negative. But what no one told them back then, not clearly enough, was that it could take months for the virus to show up. Stone didn't test again for half a year. By then, he had unknowingly passed it on to Robin. The writers didn't dramatize this for shock. They told it with aching honesty. They showed how two kids who truly cared about each other still made a choice that changed their lives. Not out of recklessness, but out of trust and love. And the cost was brutal. Stone's second test came back positive. Then came the truth that crushed them both. He didn't just have HIV, he had AIDS at just 19. His body had been fighting it for years. The symptoms weren't visible until it was too late. The virus had already weakened his immune system. The show didn't cut away or skip the pain. They showed hospital visits, fever, fear, and confusion. Dr. Alan Quartermain gave the official diagnosis. Robin was tested too. At first, she was in the clear, but the relief didn't last. A second test confirmed it. Robin was HIV positive. She had it for life. That changed everything. This wasn't just a soap opera anymore. It was something heavier. Parents across the country sat down beside their kids and watched. Health educators praised it. The public paid attention. They weren't watching just a love story. They were learning. Millions of viewers saw how a single decision could ripple out, how one missed test could carry a cost no one was ready to pay. For many, this was the first time they understood what HIV really meant. Not just numbers, not just headlines. People, young people, in love, in pain. The heartbreak kept building. By late 1995, Stone's body was failing fast. Treatments had come too late. His final days were raw. The makeup didn't hide it. The camera didn't flinch. On November 29, 1995, he died. Robin was by his side. He looked at her, and the last thing he ever saw was her face. That moment wasn't just written, it was felt. Fans didn't just cry, they remembered. The show's Nurses' Ball, which had once been a light moment, was forever changed. From then on, it became a tribute to Stone, to real people who lived and died like him. This one storyline did more than most primetime dramas managed in years. It taught, it warned, it hurt, and it kept going. Robin's diagnosis didn't disappear. The writers kept it real. They showed her living with HIV. She grew into adulthood with the virus, facing stigma, heartbreak, and eventually, strength. It became a thread in her character, not a plot device, a truth. The world noticed. In 1996, Michael Sutton, the actor behind Stone, was nominated for a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor. His performance was raw, tender, and unforgettable. He didn't win that night, But the nomination alone said enough. Audiences and critics had watched him carry something real, and they hadn't looked away. His work helped break silence, erase shame, and bring compassion to something too often hidden. This wasn't just about television pushing boundaries. It was about two young characters being allowed to feel everything: love, fear, confusion, grief, without being made into cautionary symbols. They were human. And in making them human, General Hospital helped millions see HIV differently. Not as something far away, but something that could happen in any neighborhood, in any home, to anyone who stopped thinking it could. In May 1994, the town of Port Charles went quiet. An 8-year-old girl named B.J. Jones, played by Brighton Hartford, was riding a school bus when a drunk driver slammed into it. The crash left her brain dead. B.J. was the daughter of Tony Jones and Bobby Spencer, two characters already worn down by years of heartbreak. By mid-May, the hospital confirmed there was no hope. Machines were keeping her body warm, but her spirit was gone. And in another part of the hospital, 11-year-old Maxie Jones, B.J.'s cousin, was dying too. Her heart was failing from Kawasaki disease, barely working at 20%. She had maybe days left. Tony Jones, a doctor, a father, a man wrecked by grief, stood at the edge of both lives. B.J. couldn't be saved. Maxie could. There was only one answer. The transplant had to happen fast. In real life, most children on transplant lists die within weeks. Organ matches like B.J. to Maxie are almost impossible. Less than 10% happen within a family. But it did here. And within 48 hours of the crash, B.J.'s heart was beating again. Just not in her chest. Tony and Bobby didn't agree at first. Bobby was a nurse. She had trained to save lives, not give up. But Tony told her the truth. B.J. is dead. Maxie's dying. We don't have time to debate this. He wasn't cold, he was broken. But he was right. The surgery went ahead, and in one unforgettable scene that aired on May 17, 1994, Tony walked into Maxie's hospital room. Brad Mall, the actor playing him, leaned close, put his head to Maxie's chest, and just listened. The only sound in the room was B.J.'s heart, beating inside someone else. The moment wasn't scripted to be dramatic. It was real. Mall had lost his own brother at 17 from heart failure. His tears weren't acting. That scene was filmed in one take. More than 12 million people watched it that day. It became the second most powerful soap moment ever listed by TV Guide. Mall later said he knew exactly what loss looked like, because he had seen it as a kid, watching his parents mourn. He said that scene was his brother's heartbeat too. The grief wasn't pretend. Neither was the legacy. That storyline turned B.J.'s death into something unforgettable. It made people talk about organ donation. It made viewers see their own children differently. And in the show, every October 6th, Bobby and Maxie still visit B.J.'s grave. That tradition started in 1994, the year after the crash. Sometimes they fold B.J.'s old clothes. Sometimes they just sit. But they always remember. That one heart kept two girls connected forever. At least 15 episodes since then have honored B.J.'s birthday, a quiet reminder that some losses echo for decades. Then came another storyline that shook the audience even harder. On February 14, 1998, a new kind of pain aired. Elizabeth Weber, a teenage girl, was kidnapped and raped by Tom Baker. It was brutal, silent, and raw. Rebecca Herbst, who played Elizabeth, didn't just act. She let the pain sit in her face, like a weight. For months, her character suffered through panic attacks, nightmares, and therapy. It wasn't rushed, it wasn't glamorized, and it wasn't forgotten. That story hit real people. Thousands wrote letters to the show saying Elizabeth's trauma helped them face their own. Some said they'd never told anyone before. Others finally went to therapy. Herbst said years later that survivors still thanked her for giving their pain a voice. Critics agreed. It wasn't just a soap storyline, it became a lifeline. The show refused to gloss over recovery. They showed each setback, each step forward. It sparked national conversations about rape, consent, and healing. Colleges screened it in media courses. Therapists recommended it. For a show built on drama, this one did something deeper. It told the truth. But trauma doesn't stay buried. In 2016, General Hospital brought Tom Baker back. After 18 years, he was released from prison. Elizabeth saw him again, and the trauma came back too. The show didn't treat it like a plot twist. It treated it like what it really was, a trigger. Elizabeth relived everything, and viewers did too. PTSD isn't about forgetting. It's about surviving what never really ends. The writers worked with trauma counselors to make sure it was real. They didn't move on, because that's not what healing looks like. The show has done this more than once. Back in 1988, when most networks wouldn't touch the subject, General Hospital showed Tom Hardy, a white doctor, marrying Simone Ravel, a black pediatrician. Some viewers were uncomfortable, but the show didn't flinch. One storyline had a patient refuse Simone's care because of her skin color. The scene wasn't sugar-coated. It was direct. And for daytime TV, that was rare. Civil rights groups helped the writers. The couple's relationship stayed loving and honest. It made an impact. That storyline helped normalize interracial love on television. It opened doors. It made people talk. And for some, it made them think differently. That same year, 1994, the show took on another fight. Monica Quartermaine, played by Leslie Charlson, was diagnosed with breast cancer. The idea came from Charlson herself. She said the show owed its audience something real. Monica went through everything: mammograms, chemo, surgery, fear. She lost her hair, she cried, and she kept going. Charlson talked to real survivors, doctors too. She didn't want it to feel like acting. Viewers listened. Some went to the doctor because of that story. Some caught their cancer early. That storyline saved lives. It's remembered as one of the first times daytime TV educated its audience on health, instead of just entertaining them. There were moments of joy, too. In 1981, Rick Springfield joined the show as Dr. Noah Drake, just as his song Jesse's Girl hit #1. Over 1 million copies sold in months. General Hospital had 14 million daily viewers that summer. Springfield became a star. Teenage girls started watching for him, not the plot. He only stayed for 2 years, but decades later, he came back. And they brought his character back with him, this time tied to the legendary Quartermaine family. Then came John Stamos and Demi Moore. In 1982, they joined the cast as Blackie Parrish and Jackie Templeton. It was their first big break. By 1984, both had left, but they never really left fame behind. Stamos won a Daytime Emmy nod and soon landed Full House. Moore became a Hollywood icon, starring in Ghost, A Few Good Men, and eventually earning an Oscar nomination in 2025 for The Substance. In 2025, they reunited at the AARP's Movies for Grown-Ups Awards. Fans hadn't forgotten them. One of the longest-standing events in the show's history is the Nurses' Ball. It started in 1994, created by Lucy Coe. It wasn't just a party. It was about HIV and AIDS awareness. The character Robin Scorpio was diagnosed with HIV. Her boyfriend, Stone Cates, died from AIDS complications. That storyline mirrored the crisis outside. At the entrance to the fictional ball, the Names Project AIDS Memorial Quilt was shown. A robin on a bridge was stitched into the quilt to remember Stone. Viewers donated. Fans organized real-life fundraisers. The show didn't just write stories, it shaped lives. And even after 60 years, General Hospital keeps going. In June 2022, it aired its 15,000th episode. A special story about Mayor Laura Collins brought back 33 characters, including 9 from the 70s and 80s. It was filmed in May, but aired on June 21st due to news preemptions. Fans waited. They weren't disappointed. That single episode reminded everyone why the show mattered. In October 2025, the Daytime Emmy Awards confirmed it again. General Hospital won 7 Emmys, including Outstanding Daytime Drama. That brought its total wins in that category to 16, more than any other soap ever. Its closest rival only had 11. They swept the categories: writing, directing, hair, makeup, styling, casting. They owned the night. And the numbers don't lie. In 2025, General Hospital averaged 2 million viewers per episode. That's almost unheard of today. In September, it hit 2 million exactly for only the 3rd time that year. Most soaps can't pull half that, but this one does. Still,